Hello and welcome to Khumbza Africa Amplified, a podcast reverberating across Africa and beyond. Thank you so much for joining us. In this episode, I'm joined by Dr. Joyce Banda, the former president of the Republic of Malawi. She joins me exclusively as we talk about her remarkable journey and also talk about her candidacy in the upcoming elections in Malawi. If you like the content of this podcast, remember to subscribe, like, and share. Welcome. Dr. Banda, greetings and welcome to Khumbza Africa Amplified.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for making the time. And we are having this conversation at a time when Malawi is heading towards an important election in September. Talk to me about the significance of the upcoming elections in your country. How significant are the September polls, Dr. Banda?
It is. It is significant once again, but I think what you must know is that out of the 13 candidates that have paid up to stand for election this year, only one is female. Only one is female. So, yeah, this is 60 years plus after independence, only one candidate that is female out of 13. So that's another story for another day. But yeah, we wish it could be better than that. And that goes for most of Africa these days.
You are in the race for the presidency in the upcoming elections, Dr. Banda. What, in your view, are the key issues that will shape the outcome of the elections?
What is emerging when we look at the terrain now is that it is obvious that none of the candidates is going to get 50+1 as required by the law now. It never used to be like that. The person who got the majority won. But now the law was established that you can only become president of Malawi if you get 50+1 results. And so what is going to happen, I think, is that when we get to the end, the top two, there will be a runoff. And that runoff, the winner will emerge. But for me, this is good. This is good because then one goes into office with a considerable mandate to run the affairs of Malawi. Because in the past, you could become president with 30%. And so you know, obviously, that 70% did not vote for you. Yeah, so this is a welcome development, but it's going to be the first time to have a runoff in the country called Malawi, and it may have its own challenges because it's the first time, but it's a welcome development. When we ran for election, me and President Bingu Mutharika as the candidate and me as the running mate, is the only time in the history of Malawi when people went into government, a president and his running mate, with 67%. But it was obvious then, the excitement was just too much. President Bingu Mutharika was a good candidate, but was being accompanied by a female, a grassroots champion. And so the two just was a good combination. We got 67%, but even then it was not a requirement to have 50+1. This time it is by law. So if nobody pulls 50+1, then it will be time for the runoff. And during the runoff, people have to form alliances in order to run together. But it will be two at the top that will run during the runoff.
These are important elections, as you say, isn't it? Because they are expected to be a major test of Malawi's democratic institutions and its ability to manage peaceful political transitions. What is your assessment of the country's readiness regarding this?
Yes, it is. It will. It will. And I think that's if you see what is going on now, there's so much uncertainty, and there's so much discomfort, there's so much frustration, and there's so much violence ahead of that election. And that is worrying for most of us that are peace lovers, that have seen Malawi enjoy peace, unprecedented peace for 61 years. Suddenly, we see people hacking one another, pulling out guns. That has never been the case for Malawi. So that is the worry now. But yes, it's going to be a tight case, tight election. And I believe that at the end of the day, uh, we shall have a winner, and we shall have a government. And that winner, if that winner becomes Joyce Banda, fine. Because when I became president, we were at where we are now. The economy was like where we are now. Uh, the, the economy had grown by just 3.5%, and 2 million people had no food. There was no fuel for a day. Companies were operating at 35%. So we were able to turn around that situation, so much so that 2013, 2014, if you check the figures, will show that we grew by 6.2%. So we can go there again. For me, it is the best candidate that must win. If it is not Joyce Banda, that's fine. That's fine. Let the best candidate win, and the rest of us must accept to rally behind that cabinet, that candidate, for the benefit of our nation.
We will be talking about the issue of the economy because it is one of your top priorities going into the election. But the youth vote will also be critical in the election. How important do you think the youth vote is going to be, Dr. Banda? And to what extent are you investing in engaging and mobilizing young voters?
I don't have to work hard to win their hearts, because they know that they have had a partner in me for many years. It's just like the case of Namibia, that the President Aitwa has always been a friend of young people. So it is, in fact, if you come to Malawi, even on my National Executive Committee, there's nobody of my age. The rest of them are young people. So in fact, it is the young people that are pushing this campaign for me. And it is also very clear, looking at what I've done in the past, that I've always put women, youth, and girls in the forefront. So I have history with young people of Malawi. So I am not even worried about that. I have said again and again, I am coming in because I've been asked to come back. I had left. I was so happy doing what I was doing on the global stage. It is those same young people and chiefs and Malawians who have said, we want you back. But things can change during elections. There's so many influencing factors during the campaign. Things can change. And I am psychologically prepared for anything that might happen. Things might change, and the same young people can say, no, we want a young person. But we in Malawi, I think what we have agreed, that is why people have been comfortable with President Peter Mutharika being a candidate as well at 86. Because for us, we believe that the young generation and the older generation can work together for the betterment of the lives of Malawians. Why? Because one brings new ideas, one brings the energy, the other brings the experience. And we must not ignore the need for experience when we get into office. There's no experiment when we are dealing with lives of our fellow Malawians.
Do you have any faith in MEC, Dr. Banda, the Malawian Electoral Commission, to conduct a free and fair election?
Well, we've come a long way. We've seen Malawi Electoral Commissions come and go. So we have tested one that people didn't have faith in, and then another one, the one that ran the elections of 2020, everybody in Malawi was so comfortable with the Chairman Chifundo Kachali and his commission. Because I believe that during elections, you must not allow any doubt. It's an issue of trust. When the electorate are comfortable with whoever is sitting at make, elections can go peacefully. And we have enjoyed peace this far. Yeah, so now we have a commission. At this commission, Malawians across the board are saying we are not comfortable with the system. We are not sure about your list of voters. We want to have an opportunity to audit. This has happened before in Malawi. Yeah, even during the last election, it happened. And the first thing the commission should do is to allow that to happen. But now this time they are rejecting. They don't want that to happen. They are going to use a system they call smartmatic versus manual. The last election, the chairman was able to agree to say, yes, if you have no faith, you have no confidence in smartmatic system, we shall do manual. And we did manual. And the results were there. And the whole country the whole election was peaceful. And the elections were credible. This time, the Malawi Electoral Commission is insisting on smartmatic, in spite of Malawians saying, no, we have bitter lessons from the past. We don't want this. But if you insist on having smartmatic, allow us to audit the list of names of voters, and even that they have rejected. So we are going for last week, the civil society went on the streets to protest against MEC and to ask the chairman of MEC to resign for refusing that Malawians cannot audit the system. And then people were beaten, were hacked in full view of the police and armed forces. No action was taken. Nobody has been arrested. So that you can already see that we are going into an election where the majority of Malawians are not comfortable.
Mm-hmm. We will be talking more about your election campaign strategy as we go along, Dr. Banda. But take me back to the year 2012, a significant year in the history of Malawi that saw you becoming the first female head of state after the death of President Bingwa Mutharika. What was going through your mind, Dr. Banda, after taking the oath of office?
If you recall, today I went to bed not knowing I'm going to be president in a few days because I was vice president and my president was sitting in office. Yes, we had the people of Malawi were angry about the rising cost, the living cost, and they had been on the streets, and the president had ordered his armed forces to shoot, and they had shot 21 innocent Malawians peacefully demonstrating. So people then were so angry, and then the economy and things were going up. There was no food for 2 million people, and the companies were closing down because there was no forex to cover imports for manufacturing. So it is at that point, especially when now we go to a point where we didn't have fuel, people were sleeping at filling stations, that there was a conference that organized by the Public Affairs Committee, which is a faith-based institution that looks at our governance issues and that will write pastoral letters and correct government. We'll write statements to correct government, to call out government when they feel that the rights of ordinary people are being infringed upon. And so after that happened, it became clear that Malawians are not happy. So they organized a conference by this organization. And at that conference, they gave President Mutharika 60 days, during which to correct whatever grievances Malawians had or resign. He died within that 60 days. And so, out of the blues, there's a vacancy in State House. And then, obviously, the party had already expelled me from the party. My popularity had become a problem. And I was expelled. And I had formed my own party. But constitutionally, I was still vice president of the land. And I didn't leave the party out of my own wish. A party that I was a part of at founding stage. But anyway, so I formed a party. So the bone of contention was she cannot become president. And I think the problem mainly was she's female. And then she cannot become president because she's no longer in this party. And she formed her own party. The argument now from legal minds was no, she didn't leave the party at her own will, and she was a running mate. And by law, you cannot remove a vice president, and it is not going to be possible for her to be removed after the incumbent has passed on. So she's going to take oath. That took 3 days. Now, your question is what was going through your mind? For me, my mind was racing now, especially looking at the situation Malawi was at. People had no food. People were suffering. Things were expensive. Malawians could not afford. There was no money. There was money for a week for import cover. People were losing their jobs. 2 million people had no food, and our governance record globally was bad because we had already broken off relations with our main partners, like Britain had recalled their ambassador and sent our ambassador back. So that is where we're at when now this president is dead, and I might just take oath, and I could become president. And so where do I start from? That's what was going through in my mind.
Yeah, it was a tense moment, as you say. So much was happening at the time. But did it not demoralize you, Dr. Banda, the fact that your recognition as the President of the Republic of Malawi came only after 3 days amid the tensions and the resistance that you are talking about from the governing party? Did that experience discourage you in any way?
No, it did not, because when you become vice president, it is very clear in the law that if the sitting president becomes incapacitated or passes on, you step in. And so psychologically, I had always been prepared because I knew that. I didn't expect it to happen. My boss was very strong, and I never knew that he was ill. But once it happened, and I began to see the movements in other corners trying to take that away from me, I then became even stronger because I believed that I could carry on the task that my boss had started. My prayer to God was to give me the courage to take what belongs to me, number one. Number two, to give me the wisdom to transform Malawi's economy and get Malawians to a better place.
But do you still believe the currency devaluation decision was the best decision for the country, Dr. Banda?
You know, I think that it has to do with wisdom, because when an economy is bad, you also must know why the economy is bad. And all you need to do, sometimes you need to take steps that are not popular. And the masses will scream at you. And people might suffer for a short time in order for you to correct the situation. I guess what is required always is for the leader to be courageous enough to face the problems head on and stick to the solutions without diverting in order to please anybody. Why do I say this? Because it was known for the longest time that the International Monetary Fund wanted the president of this country to devalue our currency. And the president of this country was an economist, but who strongly believed that would not work in the best interest of Malawians. And especially in an elected office, you don't want to disappoint the voters. You want to make sure that, but if you go against what you should do, then that is temporary, a solution. But I've always said that when you are a leader, you must, in fact, there's a quote that says, Joyce Banda of Malawi said, the most important attribute of a good leader is the ability to assemble a good team and to know that that team can know better than you. So I've been lucky because that's what I believe in. I get around me the best minds. So I had a very good team of economists. Some of us who are social scientists were on the team, doctors were on the team, activists were on the team, and funded by the Brain Has Foundation, we sat around a table at the lake resort for 4 days, including chiefs and ordinary people around the table to look at our economy and look at what the solutions should be moving forward. For me, what was very clear in my mind is that the people that will assist us, like the IMF, I needed to go back to listen to them, take advice, do what they think I should do to correct the situation here. So the conditions that they were giving, for me, I don't know why they were impossible for my predecessors to accept. I devalued the currency by 47%. The most important thing you can do as a leader is to get Malawians, to get the citizenry on your side by talking to them, by being open of the situation. They will listen. It's going to be hard for a while, but these are the steps I'm taking as a leader in order for us to change the situation. After that devaluation of 47%, I also looked for friends to give me funds to cushion the pain Malawians would be going through, so that they don't feel the pinch until the economy turns around. In 100 days, this country celebrated on the streets because now they could see fuel was back, electricity was back, food was there because of the funds the alternative funds that I had been given by our friends from all over the world. I also took the trouble to go and talk back our donors, our friends that had left, to come back and support us and help us. So the 6.2% that was achieved in 2013, 2014 did not come without us working hard on it, including tackling the issue of corruption, which is a very, very difficult issue for any leader because you can pay a heavy price yourself. They can smear it back onto you, but you must have the resolve to say, if you're stealing from the people that I love, I've always said that leadership is a love affair. You must fall in love with the people and the people must fall in love with you. And if you really truly love them, you're going to protect them and protect what is theirs. And you are not going to allow looters to run around and loot what belongs to the people that you love. So I tackled that as well. So the 6.2% did not just come out of the blues. You have to work at it. And you have to bring the citizenry with you. And you have to have a very good team. And you have to be able to take advice to know that you don't know better than them.
Let's talk about the issue of a sovereign debt challenge that is facing some African countries here on the continent. I wonder what your views are with regard to this problem. Some African countries have been calling for the writing off of debts to multilateral institutions. Do you share this view?
Yes, I share this view. And by the way, I'm on that committee. So, in fact, we just came as a committee to meet President Ramaphosa during the G20 summit. We are of the view that looking at the global situation now, there is not going to be the kind of aid African countries have been receiving. It is going to be more trade and not aid. But we find ourselves where we are now, that most countries are heavily indebted. And for them to come out of that place, they would need special programs, special aid, special this, special that, in order to recover. But that is not going to happen. The question is, so what do we do? In my opinion, we need to get the international community to forgive the debt so that everybody now starts on a clean slate. Because going forward, there's not going to be free lunch. There's not going to be the kind of money people have been getting. There's so much that we need to do as countries, reflecting on ourselves and our performance and what we've done and what we need to do to correct the situation. But one of the things that the international community can do once more is to forgive the debt so that people now can start from a free slate, a clean slate.
We are having this conversation with less than 5 years now, Dr. Banda, remaining before the 2030 deadline to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Would you say that Malawi and, of course, the African continent is on the right track in terms of achieving the SDGs, particularly looking at goal number 1 of ending poverty and goal number 7 regarding access to affordable and sustainable energy?
No, I don't even know which sustainable development goals we are going to achieve as Malawi and as Africa. I need to do a thorough check again. But looking at how we performed with the Malawi development goals, the first ones, we didn't achieve them. And the most painful thing for me when I think about that is the fact that those that we did not achieve were women's, I think, maternal health and women's empowerment, I think. But both of them had to do with women. This time around, I don't see which one we are going to achieve as Malawi. And I don't know about how Africa is going to perform. But I can say without any fear of contradiction, we have failed. And we have failed the people we claim to represent.
You mentioned that a winning candidate must secure more than 50% in the September vote, and many are predicting a second round, just like what we have seen in 2020. Do you intend on building coalitions in the run-up to these elections, Dr. Banda?
Yes, indeed. My thinking is that if People's Party does not get the majority, but has to align with other parties, we will choose, the members of our party will choose which partner to go into the runoff with. And it is at that point that I would step aside and allow that other leader and the coalition to move forward into the runoff.
Mhm. Now, if you don't win the upcoming elections, Dr. Banda, what would that mean for you personally?
If I don't win these elections, remember I told you earlier that I had gotten to a point where I thought I had retired. Because of that, I was very active on the global stage. For your information, I'm the champion for climate justice, Pan-African climate justice. I am advisor to President of Azerbaijan on climate change. I am on 2022 international boards. That here in Malawi, Joyce Banda Foundation is extremely active. We just sent to school 1,500 girls to secondary school, 1,500 girls to college, and 31 girls overseas for master's degrees in science subjects. That is the work that I love to do. If I don't get into State House, I will continue building houses for the poor. I will continue sending girls to school, and I will continue serving on the global stage in all the committees that I serve. But here in this country, my hope is that Malawians will get a leader of their choice, but one that will come in not through buying votes, not through rigging, but come win decisively and come in to help those that are underprivileged.
All right, Dr. Banda, thank you so much for joining us here on Khumbza Africa Amplified. It has been a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for making the time.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. That was Dr. Joyce Banda, the former president of the Republic of Malawi, joining me exclusively as we talk about her remarkable journey and also talking about the upcoming elections in Malawi. I hope you have enjoyed the conversation. If you like the content of this podcast, remember to subscribe, like, and share. Until next time, it's goodbye for now. Cheers.